Welcome to PhD with Women on IT Hack the Future. My name is Beata Young, and today's PhD Positivity Hack delivered will be by our guest, Mark Newsome. Topic to how to gain your first customer and build a stream of clients. PhD episode 30 starts here. Let me remind you, this is a grassroots community that focuses on women on IT, an inclusive forum of women in technology, startups, and female leaders who are supported by men as well. And I bring heart to that hustle because empathy is my mojo. And empathy is critical when you are gaining your first customer and build a stream of clients. Mark, we are joined today. In the world are you?
I'm speaking from Albany, New York, the capital of New York State.
Fabulous. Starting a business is one thing. Gaining and building a steady stream of clients is another. Marketing is not just about gaining clients. It's also about achieving good ratings and feedback that won't only make your clients come back, but will also attract new ones. Living in a world with advanced technology makes things easier now with the help of social media, blogs, newsletters, and other streams. Ultimately, never underestimate the power of word of mouth. This is a very efficient and inexpensive way of generating income by getting your existing customers to constantly spread the word about your business and eventually inviting in and converting new ones. Mark Newsome is a small business service provider cash flow generation strategist. He specializes in helping people, profit seeking entrepreneurs, consistently generate profit. In this episode of Positivity Hack Delivered, Mark will give us pointers on how to gain your first customer and build a stream of clients. So, Mark, let's start. First customer, how to make him go past your store, whether offline or online. What's your key?
Excellent question and a great setup. Thank you. Ladies, I want you to think about this. Here's the first thing I want you, if you're going into business for yourself or you're thinking about doing, here's a concept you absolutely positively have to get your head wrapped around. It's called total lifetime customer value. Let me give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Let's suppose you go to a local grocery store chain and you go there a couple times a week and you've been shopping there for 5 years. Well, you have a huge, irregardless of what their net profit is per product they sell you in the store, you have a huge total lifetime customer value metric to that store. Well, what you want to figure out is, even if you haven't started, you can consult with some people. Like, let me just use a hairdresser for an example. The typical hairdresser, they're going to have a clientele that's going to come to them at least 2 to 3 times a month, say typically over a 5-year period. So what you do is you add up each particular time they come, what you net per visit, and then multiply all the visits together. That's what that one customer is worth. Then you add in the fact that over the lifetime, say that same 5-year period, they're going to refer at least 3 other people. Then you add that metric. Well, now, if you understand that, you should be able to understand how you could have them give away an extremely time-sensitive, 2-sided index card that you have printed up. You put a date on it, and it says as long as the person with the card comes to your shop by a certain date, like a 10-day window, their first service is 10% above cost or at cost. All you're trying to do is get them in the door because you know mathematically they're going to stick with you X amount of times per month for so many months, which equals so many years. That is a simple way. Now, I would even say you could go the free route, but it's okay if you just cover your cost on their first visit and give them a bonus. That, what I mean by bonus is an additional service that you give them at half price or something This gets them doing what she just mentioned, word of mouth. And in this era, you not only benefit from word of mouth, which is very powerful. It was here long before social media. It was here long before the internet. It was here long before StreamYard and YouTube and all these other things we utilize now. But you also get word of mouth. In other words, they jump on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and they talk about your business or your service. Let me give you a really simple example, one of my favorite examples. Let's say the host owns I own a local corner store. You know, in your area, they maybe that corner store 2 blocks away, a block away, whatever. And you go there just to get odds and ends, milk, stick of butter, some eggs, blah, 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 soda, whatever. Now, let's say, and I hope I'm not butchering this, that Beata comes to my store a couple times a week. She owns a hair salon. She comes in, we talk, she gets a cup of coffee and some bagels, you know, for the staff. And one particular day she comes in and says, Mark, you're not going to believe it. I just purchased on a closeout from a local appliance store this incredible home entertainment deluxe system, whatever that entails. And she says it normally retail for $7,500, but because they were trying to move it, you know, off the floor to make room for the new inventory, they sold it to me for $3,500. I'm like, wow, that sounds awesome. And she's telling me she got a 65-inch television and this and that, blah, blah, blah. And I asked her, well, how'd you hear about this? She said, well, that was a radio ad, local radio ad that played a couple of times. And about the 5th time I heard about it, I realized this closeout sale was about to end. So I went in and I was able to get this. There was only a couple of them left and I got one of them. Now, here's my question to you. How outrageously expensive do you think it is for that local appliance store to have gone on primetime local radio or primetime local television X number of times before she went into that store? Well, I can tell you, and you can check for yourself, it's outrageously expensive. But what if this were the way that it happened? What if, because I am in essence an affiliate, for lack of a better word, or a joint venture partner, something here called strategic alliance, the appliance center, because they come and they live in the area and they come in my store as well, the owner, he and I got to talking, or she, and here's what we came up with. They created a 2-sided business card. Side B invites you to join their list to enter a free drawing for a chance to win a $5,000 home entertainment deluxe system or a 65-inch closeout television or tablet, whatever they want to do. Side B tells them to come to the store before date. I handwrite the date in. And it's 10 days out, not 10 business days, 10 physical days. Whatever that happens to be on the calendar, that's the date I write in, print. And it tells them if they come to the store alone, they save 10% on the first $200. Not very sexy, not very appealing. And it says, however, simply for dragging a friend who's at least 18 with you before this date, that person saves 40%. And the guest gets what we call an OTO. What's that, Mark? A one-time only offer, which says before you leave the store, provided you join our list, you get a nice ethical bribe. Now, here's the point of that. On the back, I sign my name, print, so they know this lead comes from me. When that lead, in this case, Beata, she goes into the store and purchases whatever she purchases, they pay me 25% per lead that converts to a customer.
Excellent. So, Mark, I remember we talked about the fact that whatever platforms we are on, it's like a rental platform. It's not given. It's there to serve you when you're there, but they can ban you anytime. Can you extrapolate a bit on that?
Oh, my goodness, yes. Thank you for reminding me, because I would have got on one of my rants and completely forgot. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget this. She's bringing up a very powerful point. It's okay for you and I to rock social media like nobody's business, but keep in mind, the Mark Zuckerbergs and the Reid Hoffman's co-founder of LinkedIn, they are the landlords. You and I are the glorified tenants, which means at any given time, they can, I don't want to say kick off, but they can ask us to leave. In fact, I hate to say this, but the time you're going to invest in this episode, somebody in the world will either get their account shut down for the first or permanently for the last time. That's a fact. And if all you're doing is trying to build on social media, your Titanic is headed for an iceberg. Don't do it. Ladies, one of the most powerful strategic things you and I can do, start building your own opt-in email list of subscribers. Because if they kick you off social media tomorrow, but you're building your own opt-in subscriber base, guess what? You can still keep in contact with your subscribers who will ultimately become your customers, repeat customers, and refer you new business. Let's say you built up 278,000 people on Instagram. Fabulous. And then your Instagram account gets shut down. All that hard work, what does it leave? Yep. That happens all the time. Don't be a victim. Now, again, don't misunderstand. I didn't say don't be on social media. I said it's great to be on social media, but don't let that be the only thing. You have got to be proactive, you and I, and start building your own opt-in email list. And as soon as you can, get a paid account, because there are some accounts that you can set up a free limited one list service. You don't get all the bells and whistles and all. Get your paid account immediately. So you get all the benefits of the service, but more importantly, you have a lot of flexibility. Pardon me. You can segment, you can tag. Now, I know these might be foreign terms, but this is just a way of further enhancing your list. So in other words, let's say you have a list of people who are into vegan diets, but you also have people on your list who are into meat. It makes no sense to send a meat eater something about veganism and vice versa. You can segment, put them into groups so that you can only send to people who are interested in veganism, stuff about veganism, people who are into meat, stuff about meat. And this could work for a music store. You have people who want to learn about the guitar. Why send them stuff about the drum set that's on sale, and vice versa. So email marketing should be a cornerstone if you're online, especially, but even if you're offline, you can still strategically use email marketing, and it gives you control and your time freedom.
So, Mark, well, let's talk about some of your clients. You mentioned a hairdress salon. So can you tell us some examples of how your strategy worked to their advantage?
Oh my goodness, this is a perfect setup. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to pretend my beautiful guest, or host, pardon me, I'm the guest, is a hairdresser, right? And she's trying to grow her clientele, but not just grow her clientele. She's trying to unlock revenue. Listen to me now. Revenue from her business that's passive. What do you mean, Mark? In other words, what happens on the weekend or whatever 2 days a week that she's closed? Why shouldn't her business still generate income? You follow what I'm saying? See, coming on this podcast is a way of getting leverage so that when I'm off doing something else, whether it's business orientated or otherwise, this is being streamed on the different platforms, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, so that all of those people on these different platforms, maybe they don't see it today when it was live. Maybe they see it a week from now, a month from now, 2 years from now, doesn't matter, whatever. The point is, this is working for me while I'm not working in my business or on my business. This is working for my business. In this case, I'm a service provider, but I digress. Let me get back to my example. Let's say she owns a hair salon. Now, let me show you how she's going to start unlocking revenue from her service without listen to me now, without ever stepping foot into a bank. B, without ever filling out a loan application on or offline. C, without ever pledging any form of collateral. D, without adding one new customer, although anytime she adds customers, it's a good thing. And E, without raising her prices a dime. Sounds like a tall order. Follow this. Let's suppose she's in a mini strip mall, and 2 doors down is my retail jewelry store. And she and I have known each other for years. So one day we're out at lunch talking, and I asked her the magic question. If you've never heard the magic question, ladies and gentlemen, if you're already in business, I implore you to start using this because it's going to open doors like you can't believe. But you only ask the magic question to men and women, vendors you already have and have an established relationship with, or will have very soon and have an established relationship with. Let me take a quick sip of water. Here's the magic question I ask them. Is it okay if I periodically send you new business? 95 to 98% of the time, ladies and gentlemen, you will get an emphatic yes on what we call the front end of that question. She comes back with, of course, Mark, let me hear the other shoe drop. And I say, well, listen, by the same token, as long as it doesn't take away from anything you currently have going on or will have going on in the future, are you okay with periodically returning the favor? And she says, of course. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't realize that. But what just happened is she's telling you, Mark, not only do you get access to the current resources, connections, clients, vendors that I have, but the better ones I'm going to have tomorrow and the day after. Now, having established that, follow this. I show her a picture of 2 sets of beautiful diamond-studded earrings. One pair retails for $450. The other pair retails for $650, $200 difference. And I say, listen, given the choice, if you could have either one of these at my cost, which ones would you like? She says, come on, it's $650 pair. I say, well, that would be $325, half. She says, that would be great. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll do you one better. I've got these market-tested index cards. I'd like you to start passing them out to your clients, when they sit in your chair. She says, okay. How does this work? And I said, well, what you're going to do is you're going to sign the back of them. I'm going to start you out with 100. You sign it back, print your name where it says they need to come in by this date. I say, I want you to look on the calendar and go 10 days out, not 10 business days, whatever the next 10 physical days are. You put that 10th day as the date, the expiration date. She says, okay. And I said, now, here's the $650 earrings. You just put up a deposit of $325. That way, if you close shop tomorrow and leave town, I'm not out of anything. And she laughs and she says, okay. And I say, and as the moment I get 20 customers, I'll give you your $325 back. She's like, what? I said, because now when you're wearing my advertisement, every time somebody sits in your chair, you go out to a social event, whatever, and you're rocking my earrings, hopefully, you're going to have a conversation. She said, oh, I get you. I said, now here's the best part. Every time one of these leads, prospects converts to a customer, I don't care what they spend on that first sale, I'm going to give you $100. The moment you reach 25 paying customers, it doubles to $200. And she's like, what? I said, now here's what we're trying to figure out. How many of these do you need to give out a month to generate X amount of sales? So let's say for every 100 she gives out, 25 turn into customers, and let's say half, which 10 is not half of 25, but at least 10 people are going to drag somebody with them. Now, remember I told you the concept of total lifetime customer value? Do you see what's going on my end and why I'd rather pay her or anybody else between $100 and $200 per customer versus going on primetime radio, primetime local television, or Sunday newspaper inserts? Is how outrageously expensive this is. And I was paying $40,000 a month for that billboard 2 blocks away that nobody even pays attention to. This way here, when she goes back to her shop rocking those $650 earrings, what do you think the other 5 stylists in her shop are going to want to know immediately? Bingo. So I tell her I will make the same arrangement with her stylist. Now, let's just play with some math because I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. I can see you're overwrought with the ideas, and you're adding another layer. But let's just say hello to one of our viewers who says, "Great PhD episode and great point, Mark. It is always a good practice to have a backup for all your contacts." That's a very good observation. Absolutely. And Mark, before we go into these referral details and so on, I just wanted to ask you, have you seen, because I have, and I was like really shocked to see that even after pandemic hit and after all the businesses that were offline rushed into online, I still see a lot of businesses that do not claim their Google account on the maps. And I'm wondering, what is it that they are not recognizing? Like, what's the upside to that? What is the opportunities they are missing? Can you give a little bit of insight into Google Maps, your
Absolutely. Well,
location claiming?
you're making a fabulous point, but here's something I've noticed to piggyback off your point. Most offline businesses think because they're local and have a single location, what's the point of me being online? Well, you just pointed out Google Maps is when you got to realize something, ladies and gentlemen, depending on your age, your clientele 40 and under, let's say 20 to 45, they've grown up with this vehicle called the internet. They are going to go online first and Google something, no matter what they're looking for. And if you and I are not there, your competitors are, boom, you're being left behind. If you don't understand that stuff, hire somebody. I'll be willing to bet you right in your local area, there are college students in junior college or the regular four-year university that could do that for you for 50 bucks, 25 bucks. In fact, if they're, let's say they have a little agency, they might do it for you at cost just to get a testimonial from you. You need to be there. It's a powerful, it's like me coming on a show like this once a week, every week for a year or two. This is powerful. This is a great way to be found. It's low cost. It's not going away. It's only going to get better. But the main reason why, and I hope I'm answering the question, you and I want to be there is because this is where your audience gravitates to first.
Absolutely. And this is a powerful way of getting yourself noticed. We've heard a story, I'm not sure whether you've heard it, but I've heard a story of a guy who opened a restaurant in a shed, and he basically managed to fool a lot of people in the locality by giving his restaurant high marks and answering phone calls saying that this month we are fully booked, but we can book you next month, and asking lots of friends to give him high grades on TripAdvisor. And he had this restaurant in a shed, and he made a video about that. So I definitely recommend you this word of, as Mark called it, word of mouth is an effective way of getting your business noticed. So, Mark, going back to that story of a hairdresser and how she can cooperate with other businesses, what is the potential, for example, for somebody who doesn't have a physical shop and has only an online shop, and how to actually start the online business? Let's say it's a swimming costumes store.
Well, again, that's an excellent point. If now, in this case, did you say is swimming, as in, you're swimming in the water?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, I hate to sound sexist, ladies, but here's the simplest thing. You'd want to make sure you give some of your best outfits to some young women. I want to forget the term middle age. Some young women, say a demographic of 20 to 45. Give them some of your swimwear away at cost. Why? Because they're going to the beach and they're going to be seen. Other women will see them and say, I really love your outfit. Where did you get it? Some of those women, I'm saying the ones who are basically your sales reps, if you will, I would say anywhere from 1 to 10% would be open to some type of entrepreneurial side hustle. And what I mean by that is you could give each woman a stack of cards and give them an ID number, 54, 285, whatever you want to do. And every time a sale comes in as a direct result of their referral, you either give them credit so they can get additional outfits, or you pay them in cash. And I guarantee it's the same concept. You could start growing your business. Now, here's the other thing that I almost forgot. I'm so glad she's here as a host because she's keeping me on track. Here's a simple way for you and I to self-generate business. If you have a website, you can do this. And in fact, I don't want to get too technical, but ladies and gentlemen, you could have technically what's called a landing page, self-dedicated landing page. That's just a fancy way of saying the only thing on this page is a major benefited orientated headline. What's in it for me? In other words, you're telling the prospect you're speaking to, this is what's in it for you. And you just offer a free drawing. They put in their name. We don't care what name they put in. What's important is, do they put in their most reliable email address, because that's what the system is going to use, the email address, to send the messages out to you. And you can pre-write the messages, or you can do what's called broadcast, which means you just go in, write it, and then you can decide to send it right then and there, or schedule it. But here's the point. That free drawing will interest the people, men and women, whatever your product or service is, who are interested in that. Like, say, if you're a furniture store, you give away a master bedroom deluxe set. Take something you're gonna get rid of on a closeout or a discount. Let that be your free drawing. If you're a retail jeweler, you give away a $2,500 diamond studded necklace to the ladies, a $2,500 men's Rolex for the men. If you're a let's say retail furniture store, I just mentioned a jewelry store, an appliance center. So any of these things. Now, in this case of the swimwear, you give away $500 worth of swimwear, $1,000 worth of swimwear. The sexier you can make your giveaway, the more apt the people who are interested in it are going to be interested in it. But the point is, you start building that database. Now, let's say you do it for 90 days, 30 days, does not matter. At the end of the designated time, if it's 30 days, you have one first grand prize winner. But now here's my question to you. What do you do with the other 99% who are runners up? Do you just blow them off? Of course not. You make them an extremely time-sensitive offer for a valued second grand prize. And the second grand prize could be 25% off, 30% off, free shipping with any order over X. And let's say they spend over $100. The numbers are not in stone. I'm just using this example. The higher end, let's say they spend over $100, you stick an extra bonus in there that they had not ordered. And you also give them a bounce back, or extremely time sensitive bounce back offer. What's that, Mark? It means you give them 10 days to make another order and save X. You will be shocked at how many people will take advantage of an order like that. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, I like to say it like this. Think of this. If you were just walking down a slight incline on a hill, not steep, slight. If somebody came up behind you and just gave you a slight nudge, you'd almost have to go forward. When somebody buys something, not opting into your list, buys something, they are emotionally at the hottest peak. And you and I have to take advantage of that and leverage that. Now, you don't try to take them from a $27 offer up to a $1,000 offer, but you might take them to 67 or 77 or maybe 97. And that's where another powerful strategy comes in that's totally free. It's called A/B split testing. What the heck does that mean, Mark? It just means you give them a reasonable offer. Do you want offer A or offer B? And you try to judge and see which, if any, gives you the most bang for your buck. Let's say this offer A outpulls offer B by 27%. Now you make everybody offer A on the what we call back end. Back end is just a fancy way of saying every sale after the first is your back end. And here's the beauty of it. The back end products and services don't always have to be yours. They could be somebody else's. And that's what I'm trying to show you with the hairdresser. The hairdresser gets first themselves, or the barbershop themselves, the owner involved. And then as the other stylist, hey, what is this deal you're doing with this jeweler? And hey, Mark said, if you want in, he'll do the same thing for you. In fact, Mark said, when you pass these out, every time in a week you send him 5 customers, he'll pay for your booth rental for the week. What?
There is one problem with this strategy, though. What if your recommendation and you sending someone to that other store backfires because somebody is not happy with the service they got from that other store?
Well, in that
How?
case, that's an excellent question. In that case, I'm the vendor. It would be the same if they came directly into my store from off the street. I have to make it right. And if I'm not willing to make it right, as you as a hairdresser, you have a brand, then you shouldn't continue doing business with me. That's an excellent question. But we're going to assume that the entrepreneurs that we get involved with, by and large, have integrity. If they don't have integrity, we're not going to do business with them very long. So if there is a problem with customer service, in fact, let me tell you a real life true story. I could name the name, but I don't want to do that. I just ordered a product Sunday online. They said I got an email from them, automated email that says you will get your login details in the next 15 minutes. It's Thursday. I still have not got the login details. Now, because I ordered this through PayPal, I was on the phone yesterday with PayPal telling them about the situation. I said, I'm not complaining. I said, but can you just please tell the vendor I need the login details or my money back? Now, at this point, there's going to be a 10-day window. Either the vendor's going to send me the login information or PayPal said we will side with you and you will get your money back. Now, let's say it goes as far out as they don't respond. Do you think I'm ever going to do business with that company ever again?
I don't think so.
There you go. Okay. So it almost self-regulates itself because your customers, let's say your three or four of your customers go in there and they come in with the earrings and you're thinking, whoa, wait a minute, Mark, why didn't I get my commission? That is not a situation as the jeweler I'd want to be in. If anything, I'd want to be able to, here's what I would do. Now, remember, the lifetime customer value is years out. And I'm just going to throw some numbers. We're going to say it's a low, and really, can you call it a low? $400 to $11,000 over a 5-year period. That's my window. Now, that's not all profit, right? We're in business. We know that that's a gross. So that means that some of that cost is going to be, some of that gross profit is cost. But this way, 80%, 85% is gross profit, and the other 15% is expense. Whereas before, it was 15% gross profit, 85% expense, because it's outrageous. You can't run one primetime radio television ad, ladies and gentlemen, or one primetime TV ad. You have to do it over and over and over and over and over, and that's what drives up your costs, your front end costs. Now, since I have such a huge window, here's what I can do. On the anniversary of her hair salon, the day she opened it, I can call her up and say, hey, what do you want on your birthday cake, for your anniversary cake, for your business? She's like, what? And I say, pick out what you want me to say on the cake. And I call the top gourmet bakery place in the area, biggest reputation. And I supply a gallon of gourmet coffee so that both the staff, herself, and some of her customers can eat some cake and have some gourmet coffee. Now, when they're chomping down on the cake, I'm talking about the customers, and drinking the coffee, what do you think they're going to ask? Where did she get it? And what's she going to say? I didn't pay for this. My jeweler did. Now, what do you think they're thinking now? What do you mean your jeweler did this? That's what he does. And here's what else I'm going to do. Ladies, we all know that Brad Pitt and Denzel are the lady killers, but let me tell you something. There's a bigger lady killer who was popular long before Brad Pitt or Denzel Washington ever hit the big screen. I'm going to invest in a 7-foot, listen to me now, 7-foot teddy bear she's going to pick out, and all I ask her to do is just stick it in the corner. You say, now, what's that all about, Mark? What do you think her customers are going to want to know when they see that 7-foot teddy bear? Where did she get it? What's she going to say? I didn't buy it. My jeweler did. Now, where do you think these women are going to demand their husbands, their boyfriends, their uncles, anybody that wants to get her some bling? What do you think she's going to recommend? There you go. That beats going on TV.
Fabulous story, Mark. So the great question we have from Chico Echo. How do you professionally handle criticism in a business? That's a tricky one, depending on the criticism, of course. But what would be your idea of how to handle unhappy customer?
Well, that's an excellent question, but let's start with this premise. Ladies and gentlemen, where you live, let me ask you a question. Does the sun shine? Does it rain? The question is not if you're going to get criticism. It's like you said, how do you professionally handle it? And I would say the best thing for you to do is brace yourself, because it's going to happen. You're going to have haters. And when you do get criticism, first of all, look for the silver lining, because sometimes, let's face it, we are at fault. So if it's our fault, we acknowledge that first and foremost, and we do our best to try to make it right. But let's say you have done your best. This person still isn't happy. If it's within, say, your 30-day or 60-day money-back guarantee, not only give them their money back, but in my opinion, here's where I remember I said, you asked the magic question, is it okay to bring this a vendor of yours, new business? This is where having an extremely time-sensitive gift certificate to that other business who's doing the same for you, cross-promoting you. You give this unhappy customer that coupon, because you know what? To this other vendor, because you know what? If nothing else, you've generated some goodwill. Because even though they may tell their friends and criticize, oh, I went over to Mark Newsome and blah, 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 but he did do this for me. Whereas my competitors wouldn't dare do this. So you're still building, because they may tell this story 20 times and you may get 3 new customers who come in and say, I heard, this happened with my friend, blah, 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 but you did this to try to make it right. But the main thing I want you to understand, Chico, I hope I'm not butchering your name. It's not if you and I are going to get criticized. The more successful you are, the more haterade you're going to get. So you better develop some thick skin.
Absolutely. Thick skin is required, and teddy bears or Denzel Washington or whatever gets you motivated and get up in the morning is required. One thing I definitely can say, coming just from my business background, when I used to run a cafe, co-working space, there is a community of supporters. And when they see injustice being served to your business or you as a business owner, there is definitely a big cohort that is going to jump and defend you if you are indeed in the right. So make sure that whatever your response is, think about your response. Don't jump into response. We had a problem with one of my workers who was in charge of social media, and I had to basically delete whatever she wrote because she was somewhat immature and thought that boxing the client is the way to go. But definitely thinking strategically and thinking down to the core of your business and your values, having in mind your values is definitely going to be helpful. So we've seen a couple of mishaps in social media terms, or online terms as well, like unhappy bloggers about how they were unjustifiably treated. And we've seen also amazing stories of people who jumped into saving the business, like restaurants which were struggling with COVID reality and they didn't have enough clients. So can you tell us, is there any story that you have witnessed that was inspiring in terms of gaining customers during COVID?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I'm glad you brought that up. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not trying to downplay the devastation of COVID, but the silver lining that I see in it, it forced, with a capital F, smaller, mid-sized, single location businesses to start collaborating. Ladies and gentlemen, too many small business owners, aspiring entrepreneurs, think they have to know and do everything. I mean, I was guilty of it too. The point of the matter is you have all these potential strategic partners on or offline that you and I can work together and leverage each other's strengths and minimize our weaknesses and make ourselves stronger. Now, to answer her question directly, let me give you an idea of what I'm talking about. First of all, let me give you a simple example and then I'm going to come back because I really want you to see what you're missing by this myopic of I run this business right here and across the street. It doesn't matter. It doesn't concern me what's going on over there. It should. If that non-directly competing vendor has a customer base similar to yours, follow this. Let's suppose it's a Saturday afternoon, the sun is shining, and you're binging on either Netflix or Hulu or one of these streamlined video deals, pardon me, where you're watching your favorite movies or documentaries, whatever. And all of a sudden you get hungry. So you whip out your phone and you don't want to go with the nationally franchised pizza places, but there's that one local place that has that great sauce on the buffalo wings. And you're going to be getting some heartburn, but you don't care because you're like, I love this sauce. It's just fabulous. Anyway, long story short, you order, 15 minutes later, the doorbell rings. You open the door and there's the professional driver for this particular small business. They confirm your order. They hand you your order. You hand them the money. Maybe you give them a little $2, $3, $5 tip, whatever. And they go on their way. You close the door and go back to whatever you're doing. How many times a day do you think this happens throughout the world? A lot. Now follow this. What if that same mom and pop pizza place, Mexican restaurant, Jamaican restaurant, who delivers, what if they did this? If a woman opens the door, they have an envelope, sealed envelope with a W on it. That means for women. If a man opens the door, not teenagers now, we're talking about the adults who are more than likely paying. If it's a man, you have an M on the sealed envelope. But get this. This is what the sealed envelope says, and you tell me what your reaction would be. In red parentheses, in big bold letters, music legend Stevie Wonder couldn't miss. And I hope that reference doesn't go past some people. But anyway, it says, you, Y-O-U, definitely deserve this, exclamation point. How soon do you think that envelope's going to be ripped open? There you go. Inside is going to be 2 or 3 non-directly competing vendors, extremely time-sensitive gift certificates that you're going to give away to your customer. And those vendors are going to give you 10 to 50% of whatever that first sale is. 2 things. The small business restaurant owner was forced to start doing more deliveries because they couldn't have people in the restaurant. 2, they put a back end on their deliveries so that now, whether these people come back to your restaurant or not, and that's the other thing, you should have a bounce back offer in there about, come back, make another order to your store for X% off. But whether they take advantage of that or not, they might go to the appliance dealer, the retail jeweler, or the retail furniture concern. 25% of a $2,000 sale is not bad. Probably make more than you do delivering the pizza. The point is, what if you had arrangements with all 3 of these and you just set a set fee? Say, listen, every time a customer converts, no matter what they spend, you just pay me $200 because it beats you going on the radio and having to spend $3,000 to get the customer in the store. And they say, you know what, Mark, you make sense. And here's the other thing that they should do if they're smart. Let's just say the retail appliance center. They hook up everybody that works for the pizza place. You can spend up to $1,500, get 40% off as long as you bring somebody with you who is at least 18. Now, when they're sitting watching that, say for the guys, they're watching the Super Bowl on a 65-inch flat screen television, what do you think they're also doing to their friends and family members? Bragging like crazy. Look at this cool television I got, or look at this tablet I got for 40% off, 45% off.
We've got a question from Trixie. She's saying, let's say you already give a freebie to a customer, but he's wanting more freebies. How would you explain or say no to him or her without being upset?
Well, Trixie, that's an excellent question. Let's think about this. If I ask you for a favor, in my opinion, I should be ready to reciprocate. So here's your strategy. You say you already have a freebie. I want you to do two things. After we go off the air, I want you to figure out what your lifetime total customer value is for your ideal customer. Now, not each individual customer, but here's my point. Let's suppose, as you say, you've already given away a freebie. In fact, I'm going to use you and me. I'm the business owner, and you're the person coming and saying, hey, I want more. And I say, oh, you know what? I'm glad you brought that up. Just for joining our email list, becoming a VIP, notice I didn't say subscribe, VIP, very important person, subscriber, or whatever nomenclature you want to use, you also get X. Now, X, again, that might be a freebie I got from one of my cross-promotional partners. It doesn't mean it has to come out of your pocket. But if you can give them some ethical bribe for joining your list. Now, let's say they're already a subscriber. Then you say, well, I tell you what, when you bring us 2 more customers, you qualify for this. So my point is, you see how you can enhance this and make it work for you? Now, let's be crystal clear. Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes it's best to cut a problem potential customer or client loose. Period. If you've known you've gone to the wall, it's time to say goodbye.
Well, we are not saying goodbye quite yet. We've got a question from Olga Vasina. Interesting discussion, but it seems to be a lot about face-to-face business. How do we exploit your techniques for online enterprises?
Excellent question. First of all, if you're online, you better have email capability, and you better be capturing your ideal prospects and turns them into leads. So, an example, I have a landing page. Again, now, if you have a blog, you have a form on there where you're offering something free, but don't be generic and say newsletter. Have a specific problem-solving freebie, replay to a webinar, replay to a teleseminar, a PDF, something. If you're an e-com store, then you have a discount coupon. But my point is, when you send that very first email, what we call the welcome series, either it's a one message email or a series of emails, in that first email, you have an offer that's extremely time sensitive. And here's how you transition to it. Oh, by the way, some of you may be interested in this extremely time sensitive offer. Click here, and you highlight, click here for specific details, exclamation point. Now that's enough of a cliffhanger and a curiosity, don't you want to know what's behind the curtain type offer, that you'll get the people most interested to click. And then you have an offer. Then you switch the offer, and so you can do A/B split testing. It's the same offer, but I mean, you make something different, and you change one variable at a time. So instead of doing this face-to-face, you can do it email, but let's go a step further, because I know some of you, this is the way you think. You think 9 plus 1 is 10, and that's the only way to get to 10 using addition. But you're neglecting 7 plus 3, 8 plus 2, 5 plus 5, 6 plus 4. You're also neglecting 12 minus 2, 20 divided by 2. This all mathematically is 10. So just because you're online, you still need joint venture partners. You still need cross-promotional partners. Think about this. Let's say there's an offline business that's complementary to yours. You're online, they're offline. Their secondary prize in their free drawing could be your introductory product or service. Say normally they would get a 7-day trial, but because they're a valued customer of Joe's, you'll give them a 14-day trial. But you never go further than what it would take to break even. So in other words, you don't lose money initially. to get that customer until you know, hey, our back end is up, it's working, we've tested it, and we know statistically for every X amount of people to get exposed to it, we're going to get X amount of customers. Until you reach that point, you don't go beyond break even to give away that product. But the point is, get this offline, online stuff out of your mind. Business is business. You're either doing it online, you're doing it off, or you're combining the two as a hybrid. That will definitely work for you. There's plenty of businesses are networking with, plenty of online businesses are working with offline local businesses, and plenty of local businesses are affiliates of online businesses. And there's so many combinations that you could do, ladies and gentlemen. It'll blow your mind. It really will.
It was quite an unbelievable. Before the pandemic, when I was traveling, and a couple of hotels and restaurants were promoting, some of the workers there were trying to promote the business and their service by handing the little business card with their name, asking for a feedback online. So that was definitely something that hooked my attention, especially when I was indeed served beautifully by some of the workers. I was definitely motivated to leave a little note of thank you that wasn't just face to face. It was also a footprint left online. We've got a question that is more personal, Mark. We've got Jamil Navarroza, who's joined us today. She's usually very modest in the background, but today she's got a tricky question for you. Hello, Mark. Great discussion on PhD. Did you experience some major setbacks in your business or career path? And how did you bounce back?
Excellent question. And in fact, I wish we had more time, but I'm going to give you the short, super condensed version. Yes, the major setbacks with an S that I had when I first attempted to get online, I thought I knew everything. I wasn't even close to knowing what I needed to know. So the setbacks were, the frustration was setting in because when I should have been zagging, I zagged. And I wasn't humble enough to say, I need some professional help. Once the comeback path started, or bounce back, Jamil, started for me when I got out of my own way and started seeking out coaches and mentors who were further ahead than I was. Now, not necessarily the gurus up here, guruettes at the $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, just men and women who could charge me anywhere from $50 to $200 an hour, put me on Zoom, record it so I'd have the recording, and just let me ask the questions I need to have. And if they had to demonstrate something, we screen share and demonstrate it. And then I could go off on my own and practice it. That has done more. Like, let me give a plug out. She doesn't know I'm going to do this. But the ladies, the beautiful lady in front of the camera you're seeing, and the two ladies, Jamil and Racy, they are techies. They have shared so much with me in a short period of time. And I told them as a joke, but I was serious. If I had them as internet marketing coaches and social media marketing coaches from the beginning, I'd be 500% further than I am now. So the point is, get around men and women who are further up the road. They don't have to be at the $10,000 level or further up the road than you are. Invest in their talent and knowledge because they have been there and done that. That is a powerful investment.
And another powerful message is, Mark, it's a mutual learning experience. Definitely they are learning from you as well, and I am learning from you, and this is the purpose of today's meeting. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your questions. We are coming to the end of the show. We've got about 6 minutes left. If you've got a last minute question, feel free to ask. But I wanted to ask you, Mark, what advice would you give to a female entrepreneur that would want to start her journey, apart from the fact that she needs to find that network that would be willing to help her?
A couple of things. You just hit on it, but you got to have an open mind. you have to be open to the fact that there are other ways to do things other than what you may have been exposed to. If you're not coachable, you're gonna have a hard time. Seek out, like this show, this channel, they got fabulous information, but at some point you're gonna have to invest in some more advanced information. That doesn't mean you have to start up with a $5,000 investment, but invest, learn, and then implement. And don't invest in another course you've gotten at least 75% out of what you need to get out of that course. Otherwise, you become a professional student, and that's not good either. So if you're interested in entrepreneurship, the first thing I would suggest you do before you open your own shingle, see if you can become an affiliate, like I said, for a local business, meaning a lead generator. Get your feet wet, see what happens, and then say to yourself, do I want to deal with this on a larger scale? If the answer is yes, you probably have what it takes to be an entrepreneur. If the answer is no, then stay an employee and just have this side hustle or hustles. Think about it. If you had an arrangement with a retail, non-franchise retail appliance center, a retail jewelry store, and a retail furniture concern, and you built it up to $200 per lead, and you started bringing in 10 leads altogether, that's an extra $2,000 before tax. Over a 12-month period, that's life-changing money. Buy a car, save for a house, start a mutual fund.
That's a great advice, Mark. Thank you so much. And I wanted to ask you our favorite question about life lesson quote. Can you share how that was relevant to you in your life or at the moment or overall?
Now, hey, do you want me to say what the quote is?
Yes, please.
Okay. I don't know who said this, ladies and gentlemen, maybe you do, but here's the quote. What lies before us and what lies behind us is insignificant to what lies within us.
How was that relevant to you in your life, Mark?
Well, what it made me realize is the biggest catalyst or motivation should start from within, period. If I can make the most out of me, then it's irrelevant what happened before or what's going to happen in the future, because I have the right mindset to maximize whatever happens. And that's what we're talking about as far as I'm concerned.
So, in other words, the biggest guru is within yourself. Just one of my favorite movies, pictured some time ago, with a lot of characters that were looking to find mentors and gurus and following coaches, and they were a bit lost. And still, after so many months of standing with this guru, they still didn't know what to do. They were not ready to jump in. So definitely, Mark, you need to make that move, whatever it is, whether you're a female entrepreneur or whether you're just starting your career. If you're wingling about it, nothing's going to change until you make that move. Mark, that's a wonderful quotation within a quotation in itself, because you can find so many quotes, but really it's got to be you've got to have your power. So let's go to the pandemic is over question, and let's imagine that we can have a private breakfast with anybody in the world, anywhere in the world. Who would you take with you to that private breakfast, and where would you go, Mark?
The breakfast, or I'm sorry, the meeting is going to be with the prophet, Marcus Lemonis, and I'll let him pick the spot since he's taken the time. So, Marcus, if you're out there, I'm a big fan. Let's have this breakfast, my friend.
And who is he? Can you tell us a little bit why the choice of this character?
Well, he's a guy that helps small businesses, or I shouldn't say small business, I'm sorry, business owners and entrepreneurs get to the next level. And in order to do that, A, you got to have experience, and B, you got to have some knowledge. He's got both. I really enjoy his show, and he's fabulous. I watch his show, and I get marketing strategies and ideas that I didn't have previously. So that's the reason why I'm really passionate about what he does.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mark. Well, this is coming to the end of our show. Just a little reminder, next week we are joined by somebody you should know, Dr. Jackie Taylor, who joined us over a year ago. She's going to talk about the new economy, the empathy economy. We've talked about isolation economy. She talked about privacy being dead in the life of pandemic. And we are going to take it to the next stage. She's got quite amazing announcement to make. And I'm actually lucky enough to not only meet her online, but I will be meeting her offline. Can't guarantee we are going to have a private breakfast, but who knows? That's a world of possibilities. Mark, thank you so much for today's discussion. It's been a real pleasure. And as I said, all the links are available. Whoever wants to join and see our conversation, you're more than welcome to share it with your cohorts. And to stay updated and ensure you never miss a Positivity Hack Deliver, follow Women on IT and turn on notifications to be alerted once the video has been released.
Fabulous. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mark. Ralph Waldo Emerson was actually the author of your quote, a life lesson quote. And when you focus on the positives get more positive. Mark, that was definitely positive lesson today. As always, our positive quote comes from positive thinking only and goes, look for something positive in each day. Even if some days you have to look a little harder. The sun set down and I don't have the sun shining in my eyes, but tomorrow's another day, wherever in the world you are. If you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. And that goes not only towards your life or towards your business, online, offline, wherever in the world you are, and whoever is your role model, whether it's Denzel Washington, Brad Pitt, or Mark Newsome, our today's guest. Thank you so much, Mark. Today is your day to hack the future. Hack the positivity you want.